What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show, streaming to you guys live here from DSM Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. Guys, if you are new to the channel, first and foremost, check us out on Twitter first at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. And while you're over on the Twitter page, make sure to check us out in the link tree. It's in our bio. It will take you to every social media platform. We are available on IG, TikTok, Facebook, all that good stuff. But if you guys want to be interactive throughout all of today's show, just as you can see here on your screen, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you want to be entered for a chance to win our Sixers jersey giveaway that we are running all Sixers Celtics series long, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. It's the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up on the screen here with us. I am one half of your host, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. You can find him on Twitter as well at Scotty Drowned. Sixers take, not steal, take game one in Boston on Monday night. James Harden drops 45 points. We're going to talk about that, break that game down. Joel Embiid wins MVP for the 2023 season last night. We're going to talk about that. Well-deserved to the big fella. And Bryce Harper returns to the Phillies lineup last night, late night in LA versus the Dodgers. But first, a quick message from our sponsors here, guys. The Phaithful Phanatics show is proudly brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. Make sure to use our promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Again, that is promo code DSM for 20% off and free shipping. That is their number one product, the Lawnmower 4.0. Your balls will certainly thank you. Scotty, what is going on, my man?
I'm just wondering if we can get one of those like chrome gold dogs. Like,
yeah,
I
know,
want
right,
one of those, bro. Like, might have to see if they have those on the site. That's the most intriguing thing. I mean, obviously, everything else takes care of my nuts, but that nice gold dog, man, that was really tantalizing right there in that picture. No, man, I'm excited. I'm still getting the Celsius in me. I got to get it in my veins. I injected it already, but
yeah,
it's just getting flowing here. But we had a late night, man. You had LeBron versus Steph, and then you obviously had the Dodgers.
Yeah, the Jordan Poole show.
Yeah, so yeah, Jordan Poole. Shout out to Jordan Poole, man. Cashed us out in the second quarter, the first half. Cashed us out with the over on points, man. So that was a good lay, but nonetheless, great night of sports. Little hungover from the late night of sports, though, to say the least. Anytime the Phillies are traveling like that, right, or anytime the Sixers are on a West Coast trip, you know it's going to be long and hard mornings, the mornings after. But this show makes it a lot easier, especially when we get to talk about our MVP.
Yeah, and Brett's saying here, if he stayed up to watch the Phillies game, he would not be awake. My man, I don't know if I would have waken up on time for this show either, except I was able to get to sleep probably around the 6th or 7th inning, thankfully, because, well, the Fightins had Cody Clemens pitching on the mound again late in the game in this one, so it was a little rough. Chili, what is going on, my man? But, Scotty, before we get into some Bryce Harper talk and the Phillies versus the Dodgers, before we even get into Joel Embiid finally so deservingly winning that MVP award, we have to discuss and break down this 119-115 victory on Monday night. The Sixers lead this series 1-0 over the Boston Celtics. And where do we even begin? I mean, it starts and ends with Mr. James Harden, right? And I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about his 45-point night, 50% from three, over 50% from the floor as a whole. Only 3 turnovers, which was a major key that you hinted at on the pregame show. Yeah, Uno is him, my man. But there were a lot of other contributing factors that we're going to get into. But I got to start off by saying, man, this is why we gave them that leash of game one, even without Joel Embiid. This is why you allow a team that has proven to you time and time again all season long that they are different, that they belong in championship conversation. And this is what happens. They showed up, Scotty. This team in years past does not win that game, right? Like, think about everything that transpired. You're already on the road without the MVP and Joel Embiid. Boston comes out and shoots what? 87% from the field in the first quarter, go into halftime shooting like 75% from the field. They get whatever they want. Look after look after look at the rim. The Sixers defense was atrocious, specifically in the first quarter, right? You shoot no free throws in the first half. Boston had 2 fouls apparently in the entire first half. So you're not getting to the line for easy looks. And then even when the Sixers were able to counter all first half long, you get late in the fourth quarter and it just feels like punch, counter punch by Boston, right? They went up 111 to 107, I believe, with like 2-ish minutes left. And they had the ball. And I swear to God, I sat back and said, good effort, boys. I thought that was it, man. I thought this was the time. No, Joel's going to come into play and they're going to take over. Tyrese Maxey gets an N1. Ridiculous, 2-minute call there, but Tyrese Maxey gets an N1. Boston goes into panic mode. Malcolm Brogdon throws basically an outlet pass to Tyrese Maxey for a layup, and then James Harden finishes off this game with what James Harden did all game long, and that's bury a 3 in isolation over Al Horford. And let's also shout out Paul Reed going 4 for 4 from the free throw line in the final 57 seconds to ice the game. My man, how big was this win on Monday night?
It's huge, man. It's obviously huge. You win game 1 in Boston. You obviously steal home court from them with that win. So you kind of did your job there that you would look to do in the first 2 games.
Yep.
So it gives you a longer leash with Joel Embiid and resting him as well, I would say. I know there's been some talk online about that, but that's a whole other conversation. This win's huge because it shows you exactly what this team is outside of Joel Embiid. And I'll tell you this because I heard your point towards the end where you kind of lost faith, man. I'm telling you right now, I look at this Celtics team, and I'll only talk about this for a minute, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, there's a lot of talk on Twitter. Jaylen Brown looked disinterested at a certain point in this game.
Man. He started the game 4 for 4.
Tatum looks like a choke artist. He did it in the finals last year. It just seems like in the fourth quarter, where the hell is Jason Tatum? That's what I was thinking the whole game, because Jason Tatum has 39 points in this game. Where were they in the fourth quarter, right? He just gets frustrated. He throws his hands up in the air. And part of that is because of PJ Tucker and Tobias Harris. They turned the defensive effort up in the second half. They started face guarding those guys, and they weren't letting them get the ball.
I also think this has a little bit to do with your point. I think Joe Mazzulla, I think the inexperience is showing a little bit with Mazzulla. You go to that last play, right? You're giving Marcus Smart the lead there. You're inbounding to Marcus Smart with 8.4 seconds and letting him get in the paint. Whatever, I'm not even saying the shot was designed for Smart. Just get the ball to Tatum. Get the ball. Do whatever you
Tatum. Tatum wasn't making an effort to get the ball. It was designed to go to Tatum. Like that's what I'm saying. Tatum was shying away from the moment. Meanwhile, James Harden comes out and says, "Give me the ball. I'm going to ISO up Al Horford for 20 seconds and then hit a 3 in your mouth." So like that's the stuff I'm talking about. It looked like the Celtics were not ready for the moment in their own house. But to that point, the Sixers put them in that situation. They came out, they played exactly how they had to play in this game. They were able to stay afloat in the first half. It was a wild, wild west shootout in the first half. There was nobody playing defense. I know the Celtics shot crazy, but at the end of the day,
the Sixers kind of did too.
It was dunks and layups. They were getting a ton of back cuts, and I think a lot of that was PJ face guarding Jason Tatum, face guarding Jaylen Brown. You're going to get a lot of back cuts in the beginning, and then they finally adjusted at half. But it just shows you what this Sixers team can do. You could see the defensive effort, once again, flipped a switch in the second half. And that's even without Joel Embiid getting those adjustments. And now the one thing that there's a few things I'll point out here, because from the outside looking in, from a casual standpoint, you'll look at this game and be like, this is a one-off. This was a fluke win for the Sixers, right? Took James Harden 45 points to win this game. It took Jason Tatum 39 points to stay in this game.
Right.
It took the Celtics shooting 58% from the field to stay in this game, right? They outscored us in the paint 66-42. They out-rebounded us by 10.
And had
they did a lot of good things in this game and still lost. The Sixers shot 10 more three-pointers than the Boston Celtics. So it's almost like the Joel Embiid being out of the paint has tricked the Celtics to going outside of their identity and just going in the paint. And we were sitting there trading threes for twos. I'm interested to see how Boston adjusts and decides to play the Sixers. I don't know what exactly they can do. Do you start doubling Harden? Then you're going to leave guys open. So I'm interested to see how they adjust. But overall, this win, man, it was incredible. The effort from Harden, incredible, right? We'll get into his masterclass.
Yeah.
PJ Tucker, I saw it in the comments once again, man. This guy is just the epitome of winning and
He's
leadership.
the Paul Reed whisperer, bro. Not in a not in like polite, friendly fashion, but
it's incredible.
I think it was game 1 against Brooklyn when Paul Reed actually came out afterwards and said, PJ laid into me at halftime because my energy wasn't there. We all saw the clip from the bench against Boston. I believe it was when Maxey described it in the interview. I believe it was after the Al Horford, 2 rebounds and layup with 2.5 minutes left, 3 minutes left. And that's when he laid into him. Sixers are 8-0 and PJ. Listen, man, I think this is important, right? James Harden was, in fact, him the other night. James Harden gives you 45 on ridiculous shooting. He started the game 5 for 5 with 12 points. You knew he was locked in from that moment on. But everybody else played their roles incredibly well. PJ Tucker, without even affecting the box score, scoring-wise, was PJ Tucker. He got you timely offensive rebounds. Yes, the defense started off slow, as did the entire teams, but then he stepped up the defense. The leadership, the accountability, the toughness. That's all PJ Tucker. The little nut shot to Jason Tatum, obviously accidental, but I mean, listen, it ignited a fire, right? It started a little scuffle, and at that point, things went the Sixers' way a little bit.
Finally, we get a little cheap shot in, man. Finally.
You mentioned the defensive adjustments. Shout out to Doc Rivers for doing his part, man. That zone threw Boston off the little bit that he threw it at them. He made that adjustment.
Yeah.
There was already 2 comments about Paul Reed icing the game. 4 for 4 in the last 57 seconds and the last 2 with 4 seconds left.
That's cold, man.
That's incredible, bro. I might have to go buy that $100 hoodie now, Scott.
I'm not even trying to clown some of the rest of the guys on this team. I'm not 100% sure that Maxey would have hit all four free throws.
Oh, no.
Down the line, I'm not sure that some of the other guys on this team would have hit those free throws. So, I mean, that was cold. That was really impressive from Paul Reed.
Absolutely.
Man.
And like you said, we're going to talk more in depth about Harden's performance specifically.
Yeah.
Because the way that Boston, again, it comes back to Joe Mazzulla as well. The way that Boston allowed him to just get the switches that he wanted and get the mismatches that he wanted late in the game after he did it for the first 45 minutes. I don't know what they were thinking. And as soon as he got Harden on him for that final 3, I was like, take him. What if it doesn't go in, it doesn't go in. But this is the shot I want because you are going to get your look off of Al Horford. But this guy, let me find these right here. This guy wasn't as much of a factor in the second half, excuse me.
Yeah.
He did have a ridiculous block in the second half off of some help defense, but DeAnthony Melton was humongous in this first half. And Brett and Chili saying here, he kept us in this game so many times. The timely threes, I believe he shot 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 from deep in the first half.
5 for 6, I believe.
But I think it was 5 for 5 at halftime. And he had 17 he had 17 points, I believe, at halftime. And Scotty, they were all, if you go back at critical moments when it would be Boston up 8. He hits one to bring them back down 5. Boston's up 9, brings them back down 6. He never allowed Boston to extend that lead to double digits and run away with this game and make it too difficult, too steep of a hill to climb for the 76ers shorthanded. He kept them in the game with so many timely threes, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered because you had Harden going, but Paul Reed wasn't doing anything on either side in the first half. PJ obviously wasn't scoring. Tobias had missed a couple open looks. Maxey wasn't shooting well in the first half. I know you tweeted out how we need Maxey to step up in the second half. So it was really Harden and Melton that kept him in this game.
Yeah.
And then the other guys in the second half, Tobias with clutch threes, Maxey with clutch buckets. Yeah. Those guys were able to elevate after they got acclimated in the game. But DeAnthony Melton put on a show in the first half, man.
It just gave me chills as we were going through all of it because you think about this game and there were some really frustrating moments from Tobias Harris even, and ends up with 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Like he did his thing in this game. D'Anthony Melton having that 6 man able to come off the bench. I told you probably it was during the Brooklyn series. I was thinking about this and I was thinking about Malcolm Brogdon, right? Because Malcolm Brogdon in this game did his thing. He had 20 points off the bench. He was a game high plus 14 for the Boston Celtics in this game. So you look at that matchup, you had to get that production from D'Anthony Melton. You had to get it from somebody off the bench because they're getting 20 points from Malcolm Brogdon off the bench. D'Anthony Melton comes out and keeps you in the game in that second quarter, and it gives you just enough time, right? It buys you just enough time for Tyrese Maxey to figure it out. 100%. And that's to Brett, to Chile's point, that is something that we have not had, right? Somebody that could come in and possibly be on a heater themselves to give Maxey a break, to let him catch up to the game speed. Even Harden, right? That maybe it's something with Harden tonight. We don't know, right? But just having that confidence coming off the bench, this guy lets it fly. And that was the big thing in this game. They were shooting it confidently. Tobias Harris is the only one that was hesitating a little bit in between.
He was, for sure.
During the game.
And then he did this with about 4 minutes left at the top of the key. He also hit one in the corner at the end of the first half, I believe. That was pretty clutch in the final minute or so as well to keep the game.
I'm only remembering the one he threw off the side of the backboard.
Yeah, that was rough. That was when the buzzer expired. That was the first quarter.
This one is funny. The one Brett just said where he dribbled like in a circle around
Al Horford, bro. Listen, it's funny. Al Horford can't keep up with you.
That was hilarious. And I saw this tweet. It was just like, man, I don't know what world Tobias be living in, but it worked, man. You get a bucket out of it.
And he was clearly aware of the shot clock, man. He clearly was, however goofy it looked.
Exactly.
I don't think it was anything like ridiculously stupid on his end when he didn't know what was going on.
And that's what I mean about this game, right? You look at the game. We'll get to Harden's masterclass, but you look at the game.
We're building up to that.
We're building up, right? We're getting there. Like the Harden masterclass is the pinnacle of this game, but you had a game from Tobias where there were times that were frustrating for Tobias. So I wouldn't say it was Tobias's best night, right? He could have a better night tonight.
For sure.
Tyrese Maxey did not show up in the first half of this game. He shot miserably from the three-point line as well.
I was just going to say that,
man. 2 for 9. So there's room for this Sixers team to grow and play better in game 2. You might have a little bit of a drop off from Harden. He scored 45. But from the other guys, there's room to grow there. And I think the big thing, I just wanted to touch on this, and I'll throw it to you.
Yeah.
But it was huge getting that second half for Tyrese Maxey. Just getting his confidence right against Boston. To see him go out there and play loose. Getting that and one at the end of the game. I know it was close, almost a charge.
They need to get their heads out of their ass, dude.
No lie. It was a little ridiculous to even put us through that because I'm sitting here thinking this is in Boston. This is going to go against.
Just deciding that they can take a look at it in a random.
Right, where did that come from? Where did that rule come from? Just an automatic review. They didn't even have to challenge it, but. Whatever. It was good to see Maxey get out of that hole against Boston, get out of his own head, and finally get it going. He started shooting the ball much, much better, making big plays. He did have the 5 fouls, right? But he's playing physical. He's trying to get through the screens. He's trying to play. By the way,
the pull in the back for the 5th was a ridiculous call as well. And I'm pretty sure one official called a travel and the other called a pull, and they like the same thing. Like
when they're sitting there letting everyone else play as physical as albeit, right? Everyone else is playing as physical as albeit, but Tyrese Maxey, the smallest guy on the court, does a little tug, and it's just like the world ends. He's got to get 5 fouls, like 3 fouls in 2 minutes.
By the way, watch Jason Tatum tonight. Please watch Jason Tatum and watch his off arm every time he
I watch him, bro. He is one of the. I'm a Duke guy. I'm a Duke guy. Tatum is probably the best Duke player in the NBA right now. That dude is so annoying to watch. He is so annoying to watch. I tweeted it out. That dude he acts like such a baby. Really, like a legitimate baby. Like
He
throwing his
uses that
hands up
off
every
arm
missed layup, dude.
and
Like you missed
extends
the
that
layup.
off arm
Using the
lot,
off arm.
man.
Him and Jaylen Brown, I swear it was a game plan to have their elbows out when they drive. Literally, all he did to Maxey, they were making all this noise about him scoring on Maxey. Dude, he's just shoving him out of the way. Yeah. That's all he's doing. He's moving him out of the way with his arm and finishing with the other. Like it's not. It's
pay attention to it tonight. I promise you. But the thing with
Maxey with 4 steals as well. By the way, that was incredible.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. That's the thing that impressed me last night in the second half with him. You mentioned the 3-point numbers, 2 for 9, and normally, I don't know. In the past, I guess like you're watching the growth and evolution of Tyrese Maxey in the moment because
finding other ways.
In the past he shoots 2 for 9. He's probably not letting it loose elsewhere. He's probably not as aggressive and as involved. He stayed locked in. He stayed focused, and he kept shooting. And ultimately, did he shoot? What did he finish with? 10 for 24. So that's under 50%. Whatever that field goal percentage is, not great with math over here. But 10 for 24 from the floor, but 2 for 9 from 3. The fact that he stayed locked in and got looks elsewhere, got looks at the rim, got out in transition, right? That big, obviously got to the free throw line a couple times. That was huge for Tyrese Maxey moving forward because he's not always going to shoot 2 for 9, Scotty. He could come out tonight and shoot 7 for 11 from 3 because he has that ability.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, by the way.
Now,
I feel you.
We built up to it.
Yeah.
Listen, man, he was, I would say, maybe the focal point on the pregame show. He was the focal point of a lot of people. It's like I'm not trying to come off as you and I were like James Harden has to do this. But I think it was pretty simple. No Joel Embiid. James Harden has to elevate tonight. I didn't think he was elevating for 45, Scotty. I didn't think he was elevating for over 50% from the floor. 50% from the 3-point line. 7 of 14. I didn't think he was going to do that. Tied a career playoff high. That's OKC Harden. That's Brooklyn Harden. That's Houston Harden. This, I loved your tweet, was Philly Harden. He didn't flash back to Brooklyn. This was Philly Harden because what does Philly Harden do? Philly Harden does whatever is necessary because when Joel Embiid comes back, that game's going to alter. That game is going to shift back to being more of a orchestrator, more of a distributor and getting looks elsewhere. But when Joel Embiid's out and they need a catalyst and they need a leading guy, he can still be your guy, man. That performance was, I'd have to go back and think, but that performance has to rank top 3 in recent history of Sixers playoff performances. I don't even know what would rank higher. Like, you've had a lot of Joel regular season performances I can go to, and you've had Joel postseason, moments I could go to. But I feel like those come off as expected as times because when Joel gives you 42, it's different at this point in Harden's career. Harden giving you 45 in that fashion with all those big-time threes, with ultimately the game winner with 8 seconds left on the road. Masterclass, dude. Absolute masterclass. It was a privilege to watch, to be honest with you, knowing that he's a future Hall of Famer, that he's a top 75 player, and he got to do that in a Philly uniform. But, James Harden's here, Scotty. And then his mindset after the game, telling everyone, whoa, what are we all huddling around celebrating for? Back to the locker room, boys. He's working out in the locker room afterwards. If he wants to go to Vegas, I would have flew him to Vegas. Right the hell ahead.
He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Harden was spectacular the other night, man.
Yeah. You hit everything. You hit the nail on the head, but just looking at Harden, this performance, right? He started it, and I like what Chile said there, front to back. I don't know if he meant it this way, but it's what made me think it. He started in the mid-range, right? And he got real comfortable in the mid-range, hit 2 or 3 jumpers.
Did you notice some of the bounces he got early, too, from the
Shooter's
rim?
Shooter's roll, right? It's very comfortable. But getting that touch down in the mid-range first, then working his way back to the three-point line, I think that's why he was able to shoot so efficiently. He was able to build that rhythm early. And that comes from just getting shots. A lot of the time, Embiid is going to take those early shots. Harden knew he had to go out there, find his rhythm early. He went out there and did that with the mid-range. and then extended back to the 3-point line. Should have been a flagrant foul on that Marcus Smart that contest, man. Yep. It's so annoying. But nonetheless, Harden comes out here, plays with the mindset that we just haven't seen from him since he got to Philly, right? And I do agree with you. It's Philly Harden, because this is not Houston Harden where he's out there. This was a very efficient game from James Harden. And I know he had games like this in Houston, but a lot of the time it was a lot of three-pointers put up and not a lot made, right? That was a big thing in the playoffs. But just looking at this performance, man, it's got to be not only one of Harden's best playoff performances, but this has got to be one of the best Sixers performances ever. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Look at the moment that this is, right? This is a round 2 game, which we have not been able to do well in round 2s.
10-point underdogs.
You're able to get the win in game 1 of round 2 against Boston without your MVP. And Harden goes out here and drops 45, man. It's one of the better Philadelphia playoff moments in history.
That's what I was trying to ask. Like, where do you – I don't even know where to place it.
Because it's not just another team. It's not just dropping 45 on Brooklyn.
Right.
You dropped 45 on Boston – in Beantown. That's crazy. And you walk out of there with a W, man. It just, I look at this Harden performance, I look at this overall team performance, and all it does is it really confirms that this team is different for us. This team is different from all of the previous teams. It confirmed all of those feelings that we went into the game with, right? There was a reason that we felt like the Sixers could win this game. We had to see it to believe it. And for the first time in a really long time, and whether it's because Embiid doesn't see the second round, whatever the case may be, for the first time in a really long time, it feels like we have control in the second round to start the series. It doesn't start like this ever. And so to get off on the right foot like this, it felt unreal. It felt surreal to actually get the W, man.
I agree.
These moments, even throughout the regular season, where we have these big moments, and it happened a couple times this season. You get the big win in Milwaukee in the regular season. Like, you get to these games, right? You get to these games, and we build it up so much over these last couple seasons. And then you get to the game, and they blow it. We've seen that so many times, especially during the Ben Simmons era, right? And now we see them come through in so many big moments throughout this season. And then they do it in the biggest moment yet against the Boston Celtics in Beantown. That's what impresses me the most. They answered the call. They answered the call. They finally are doing that this season. And I think that attests to the additions, as well as James Harden being healthy. PJ Tucker being able to get on Paul Reed like that at the end of the game. And Paul Reed being able to take that. That's the other side of it. Being able to take that and go and nail 4 free throws.
And use it as fuel at 100%.
Adding DeAnthony Melton, that gritty guy, right? That guy that will do anything for the team. These type of guys make championships happen. And that's what I'm seeing right now. Yeah. Harden is healthy. And just to get back to Harden, it wasn't even the 3-pointers, right? Because the 3-pointers get you juice. The step back threes, you like,
he's attention to the quickness, Scotty.
It's the first step. It's the first step to get to the rim.
He blew by a couple defenders.
He crossed Jaylen Brown so many times in this game, and Jaylen Brown is so much more athletic than James Harden. He crossed Jaylen Brown, had him turning around, then takes it to the rack and finishes over Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon didn't even want to contest it. That's how hard James Harden went to the rim, and it just shows me James Harden does have that extra gear. He is able to hit that extra gear, and he is hitting it now that we're in the playoffs. And I'm interested to see it because I think he could have dunked on Brogdon there. He said he did dunk. I think he could have actually flipped it over and dunked it. He just didn't need to, right? He didn't need to do that and waste that energy. But, man, he talked about it after the game. He was like, I was going to shoot it regardless. And I think that's the mindset James Harden has to have, at least until you get Embiid back. But even then, man.
Even then, because you know what it is?
Still play that way. I still want him to play
it's
in a similar fashion.
It's D-Rab's comment right here, and it's what I've been trying to scream since last summer.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 45. Like, even without Embiid, he's not going to score 45 on every night. Yeah. On most nights. With Embiid, he's damn sure not going to score 45 like that in that fashion.
Yeah.
But that is the type of Harden you need. The
If you get
threat
that, man.
to score 45 next to Joel Embiid. The aggressiveness next to Joel Embiid. When you see Harden do this, listen, I know he averaged what do you average this year, Scotty? 22 and 10, 22 and 11, somewhere in that range. That's great. And I think the Sixers can win a championship with that. But what this showed me is why not 25 and 8, 26 and 7 or 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's definitely capable of doing so. And I love Joel Embiid. He is the MVP of the league, which we are going to get to in a minute or two. And he should damn well be your focal point.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, there are possessions, there are times and moments in games where they focus too much on trying to get an entry pass into Joe.
Yeah.
It's not there at first or even twice. And they take 15 seconds just trying to establish position and get him the ball. When you have this James Harden, he doesn't need to be the focal point 99% of possessions.
It's funny, Dylan. It's funny because as we get to the postseason, I think we're getting to that point where, and mind you, I think we obviously have to factor Embiid's injury into this equation, but we're getting to that point where we do operate around James Harden in this postseason, and it's nothing to take away from Joel Embiid because we're going to get a lesser version of Joel Embiid. He's injured. It just is what it is. If he could play, then he would have played the other night, and we would know that he's in good shape. He's not in good shape, right? We know we're going to get a lesser version of Joel Embiid than the MVP performer during the regular season.
For sure.
That doesn't mean that Joel Embiid can't make this team better. He will make this team better on the defensive end specifically. But I think with Joel Embiid, you can operate with him, not as a decoy, because I think he still gets his touches. He still gets his shots. But I think you operate around that pick and roll. You have him operate in a similar fashion to how you're having Paul Reed operate. And you take the ball out of his hands a little bit, right? Have him get on the boards. Have him play the defense, right? And get maybe 20 points a night, right? Maybe that's the version of Embiid we need this postseason when he does return. But I think the big thing here is that when you look at most teams, they have a ball handler that can dominate the game and be the focal point. And I think that's where we're getting to in the season and in this postseason specifically is where James Harden is going to have to be this guy. It doesn't have to be 45, like you said, but he has to be this shoot first mentality. I think he has to be willing.
At least a 50-50 split.
He has to be willing to come out and take more shots than Embiid.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he does. He has to be willing to. And
when
I think same thing with Maxey to a lesser extent. You got to be willing to come out here and
think
score.
about that deadly pick and roll that got them.
Exactly what I'm thinking about.
They were the most efficient
make it easy
duo in the league this year for a reason. A lot of that goes through Joel.
They couldn't stop the pick and roll with Paul Reed. They were having trouble with the pick and roll with Paul Reed, right?
So listen, man.
It's going to be interesting, man.
Listen, man, this team has proven time and time again that they are different. You mentioned all the acquisitions, all the new guys to step up and contribute to this team. You have a backup five that not only doesn't get killed in game one, actually helps you seal a victory at the end of game one, which was humongous. And you have a guy in James Harden, a top 75 player of all time who can take over the reins and kind of take control of any situation he is in.
I'm very confident, man.
Let's spend a few quick minutes and we'll wrap up with the Phillies lineup because Bryce Harper did return to the lineup last night. Few quick minutes on Joel Embiid. Finally, winning the 2023 NBA MVP award. Obviously, so greatly deserved, man. I know you sent out a tweet blowing up, by the way. People love the passion that you brought to that tweet and to Joel Embiid last night because he did exactly what you said.
True.
He brought life and basketball back to South Philadelphia. What does it mean for the fan base and for Joel specifically? Because I know there's people out there that are like, man, I don't even care anymore. I've been hearing so much about it. I saw a couple of those tweets, and I was partly with you in the middle of the season because I was tired of the disrespect that he was getting. I was tired of him being deserving of the award and coming up short year after year. But you can't say you don't care, and you can't say move forward because he so deservingly got it.
Yeah.
And you need to be happy for him. And now he doesn't have to, now he can focus on getting back and getting more hardware. what did this mean for you and for Joel Embiid last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think last night you got to see the humanistic side of Joel Embiid, and you got to see him with
Yep.
his teammates, where they're kind of sitting there as a family in a sense. And you saw he wanted his teammates to be around him, and I thought it was a very humbling moment from Joel Embiid. You get to see him in his very natural standpoint. He's not doing any of the trolling, none of the plays to the crowd. This is just Joel Embiid receiving one of the biggest accomplishments, if not the biggest, in his life. And you saw him just sitting there taking it in, but you also saw how happy his teammates were for him. And I think that speaks to how hard Joel Embiid works, how hard he tries to get out there, even when he is injured like this, to get out there on the floor with his teammates and be the MVP that he is the last 3 seasons. You talk about how big is it for the city of Philadelphia just to see Embiid's hard work vindicated. That's what it is for me. Not only just he did bring life back to Sixers basketball. It's as simple as that. There was no hope until Joel Embiid, right? We saw Ben Simmons. We saw Markelle Fultz. We saw all of these players come through here and not succeed. Joel Embiid was able to do it and do it at a very high level, the highest level in the NBA this season, and he gets exactly what he deserves. Just a few point outs for Embiid's season. First NBA player to average 33 points and 10 rebounds since the merger. Players outscored their teams 4 times this season. Embiid did it twice, and he won both of those games. He scored 59 points and then the 52-point game against the Boston Celtics. Scored more than the rest of his team and still won the game. He was able to get the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference, right? Lead the Sixers to that. Not only that, he led the league in scoring for the second
Back-to-back years.
Yep. Back-to-back seasons.
First time since Shaq.
He had a 10-game stretch in March that kind of pushed towards sealing the deal for him in getting this MVP award. He wrapped it up with that game against Boston, the 52-point performance. But he had a 10-game stretch in March after the All-Star break where he averaged 36 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, and 2.4 blocks per game. Complete dominance, man. And that's what this guy does night in, night out. You saw the difference even in this playoff game where they won. That lane was so open. It just speaks to his defensive presence. It's so much talked about his offensive output, right? His skills on the offensive end, but he does it on both sides of the court. He gives every Sixers fan hope. You come into the season, the reason you think that you may have a chance each and every season is because of Joel Embiid. And we can't thank him enough for that. And he gets exactly what he deserves and finally gets exactly what he deserves. Shout out to Jokic and Giannis. I think we can maybe move past, the hatred of Jokic and kind of
the Denver Nuggets social media team did a pretty tough job of that last night.
The Denver Nuggets fans, we got to live above them now. Our man got the MVP.
The team's social media.
Yeah, either way, we got to live above them now. Embiid got vindicated. He got what he deserved, and I think we can move on from that. We don't have any
ran away with it, by the way.
We don't have any reason to be jumbling with the Denver Nuggets. It's pointless at the end of the day. They're both great players, but Embiid wins this one, and that's what matters. Shout out to Joel Embiid. Congratulations. Nobody deserves it more, man. I think that's all I can say about it. Otherwise, we're going to get into a deep monologue of his entire career and everything he's gone to, from Cameroon to Montverde to Kansas to the first couple years in the NBA not playing. I mean, it's incredible, man.
I go back to literally 2 years ago. I sat here, different setup in this room.
Yeah.
Before the Atlanta Hawks series, before that playoff run, and you and I and Brock Landis, shout out to Brock, did about a 2-hour podcast because we just couldn't stop talking about him, about who was the MVP, and it was the same 2 guys.
Yeah.
And you made cases for both, but why it was Joel. And for 2 years to have some of the accomplishments similar to what you listed out and laid out that he did this year and be snubbed and not get it, in our opinion. And to finally come through with it, nobody is more deserving. It was awesome to see the emotion, the teammates. It was awesome. It's funny. It was funny seeing them in the background. I'm pretty sure Kenny Smith asked them a question about this, but with the Olajuwon point, and I'm pretty sure it was Joel's idea to have his teammates behind him in the camera view because he said everybody is a part of this.
Yeah.
It just tells you the kind of guy and teammate that he is. Big fella, rest up, and let's go get some more hardware for you, okay? So hopefully we will see him in a few nights, if not tonight. Guys, we are not going to break down Game 2 here on the Phaithful Phanatics Show. We will be live around 7 p.m. tonight on the DSM Media YouTube channel for DSM Pregame Live, Sixers Celtics Game 2. Make sure you come hang out with us, give us your predictions, and, of course, check out our pinned tweet on Twitter if you guys want to enter our jersey giveaway. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and comment your game prediction on any of our pregame lives this week versus the Celtics. So it's night number 2 to get your entries involved. Right. Scotty, let's wrap up with some Phillies talk for the last 5 minutes, all right? Because while the Philadelphia Phillies have lost 3 straight, 2 straight, quite embarrassingly, thank God they start at 10-10, so I'm not sure, like, Brett, have stayed up to witness this. Cody Clemens has pitched in the 9th inning the last 2 games. They've given up a ridiculous, I believe, 26, 27 runs in the last 2 games against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The pitching has not been good enough. Taijuan Walker, Bailey Falter on against Houston on Sunday night was bleh through 4 innings. Taijuan Walker was atrocious and underwhelming 2 nights ago. And then Matt Strahm, who has been incredible in a role that he's not supposed to be in place of Ranger Suarez, excuse me. He was human last night. And then the bullpen came in and looked human, and Soto looked human, and the 2-out RBIs that this pitching staff loves to give up from time to time came through the last 2 nights, specifically last night. But they're still in our good graces. They're 15-16. They were 15-13. So it does hurt to see the 500 record slip away, but the fact that they're right there when Bryce returned is okay, because that is the most important point. Bryce Harper returned to the lineup last night. Yes, he went 0 for 4. He struck out 3 times. He swung at the first pitch in all 4 at-bats. A lot of things people would like to point out on social media to me this morning. Do I care? Not a goddamn bit. The MVP, we just spoke about one in this city. The other is back in the lineup, and it's going to do wonders for this lineup. So the last thing I want to talk about, I'm not going to break down the last 2 losses. They got blown out. I don't know what to say. They need to play better. Pitching needs to be better. They need to hit better with runners in scoring position. That's all great. They're on a 3-game losing skid. They play today at 4 o'clock, so hopefully all Philly fans can watch it before enjoying the Sixers game.
Absolutely.
You text me about the lineup because obviously Bryce returns and Topper switches up the lineup last night. Give me your thoughts on it, and let's run through kind of our lineup, the Phaithful Phanatics dream lineup here with Bryce Harper back in it.
Yeah. I think for me, the main thing is just switching Stott and Schwarbs. Now, I said something to you about it, and you brought up a good point. It's, you're taking away at bats for Schwarber, and ultimately you would like to keep him with his at bats until he can get out of his funk and hopefully get back to maybe not what he was doing last season, but at least something close to that. But I just thought it was interesting to go away from Stott after how well he had been playing up until this point. Now, mind you, he goes 0 for 4 last night as well. So
almost hit a home run.
Wouldn't have made much of a difference. But
yeah,
I think, I said it to you late in that game, just like getting guys on base for Bryce Harper, I think is a big thing, and just giving him that big moment. But obviously we got to give him a little bit of time to get back, get his swing back, and just get used to game speed, right?
Yeah.
But as far as the lineup, I don't think we should complain too much about it. At the end of the day, it is the lineup that I think we both would agree all of the players that we want on the field in the lineup, they're out there, right? So it's just a matter of order and more of a preference, right? It's not really something that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, I think the bats tonight, they just got to step up, maybe get used to it. Don't know if it was maybe having Bryce back, the adrenaline that goes along with that, because you only had 2 hits in this game.
It was bad, dude. Trey's homer, which was nice to see, by the way. Excuse me. Trey Turner hit about a 420-foot moonshot to center field. Good to see, right?
But you need more, man. You need more, and hopefully tonight they can, or today, I should say, this afternoon, they can get it rolling again. But it's just good to see Bryce Harper back in the lineup. I think it gives you more confidence, like to take a Jake Cave out of the lineup, right? Like that makes you more confident in this lineup going forward. And
Yeah.
you just know he's gonna get into it very quickly. He's gonna get
He'll be
back
fine.
to it
He acknowledged
faster
that he
than what we
doesn't
can
expect.
imagine.
Yeah, he acknowledged that he doesn't expect to be Bryce Harper when he first comes back, right? He wasn't Bryce Harper when he first came back from a broken face last year, right? And then the thumb injury. So, or it was a thumb last year. It was a broken face 2 years ago. Excuse me. He almost got hit in the head. All the same, right? By Blake Snell.
He did almost get hit in the head.
Listen, I agree. The main thing is Stott or Schwarber leading off. Stott has been great in that spot. He's been one of their most consistent hitters. We all know the hit streak he started the season with. Yeah. The way he works, counts, battles, has a great eye. He's great in the leadoff spot. The argument for Schwarber is what made him so great last year with the 46 home runs is he only gets those because he hits leadoff, because he sees the most pitches, the most plate appearances, gets the most swings, gets the most attempts to hit those home runs. That's what makes him dangerous. You slide him to 5, you greatly limit the at-bats and attempts he's going to get. But I get the argument for both. Here would be the lineups before we wrap this show up, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say Stott. We want to go with Stott leadoff. I'm with it. Stott 1, Turner is 2, Bryce is 3. That is not argued with.
Okay.
I'm leaving Costi at 4. The power seems to be back. He's been probably your best hitter for the entirety of the season so far. He's locked in right now outside of last night. Castellanos is 4. If you go with Stott at 1, Schwarber's 5, because I'm not dropping him too much further in the lineup. Schwarber 5, the left-handed bat behind Castellanos. If Schwarber at the lefties 5, would you like to go Bohm or JT 6-7? Who's going first?
I think I'd go JT.
JT 6.
I think I'll go JT.
Bohm 7. Either way, I think it's agreed that they're your 6-7 hitters in whatever fashion you'd like. 8, I'm going Marsh. 9, I'm going Sosa.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with it. Yeah. That's exactly the lineup that I would put out there.
If Rob wanted to go Sosa 8, Marsh 9 to turn the order over, I wouldn't hate that either.
I'm open to that.
But when you do that, you're going to have back-to-back. I would probably go Marsh 8 only because if you go 9, whether it's Stott or Schwarber, you're going to have a lefty at the plate 1. So you would have back-to-back lefties 9-1 when the lineup turns over. So I would split those up.
Okay.
I would go Sosa 9, Marsh 8, but that would be our lineup. I think the only adjustments you make are Stott 1, Stott 5, Schwarber 1, Schwarber 5, JT, Bohm 6-7, whichever way, and then that's it, man. This Phillies lineup is stacked. It is complete. Don't overreact to what happened last night. Was it ugly to watch? Should you have stayed up for it? Probably should have went to bed when I did around the 6th inning or so.
This afternoon, we got one of our actual starting pitchers and Aaron Nola going out there.
Who looked great in his last outing on the road.
We need to turn the tide here.
And let's be honest. This is you played 3 in Houston, 3 in LA, right? If you win today, you went 3-3 on the trip.
Yeah.
You can't complain. You really can't complain.
Against those lineups, I mean, you take that.
Absolutely, man. With that said, guys, that is going to wrap up this edition of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. We will be right back with you live Friday morning at 8 a.m., breaking down Sixers Game 2 action and more Phillies talk. Don't forget to check us out on DSM Pregame Live tonight around 7 p.m. on the YouTube channel specifically. And also don't forget to use our promo code DSM for 20% off and free shipping from manscaped.com. Again, that is promo code DSM for 20% off your entire order and free shipping. For myself, for Scotty, have a great rest of your day.